Go and tell everybody. Go and tell everybody. Go and tell everybody. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yo, what's up? It's the Insane Game Freak here. This is a very kind of lazy kind of video because I didn't intend to make this video, but things have gotten a little out of hand and people have been talking recklessly and I need to educate an individual. Hence why this is a video response. Remember those? Me either. But I missed that goddamn star system. But for now, like the video, subscribe if you want to, click the notification bell so you get notified when I put out new videos, and most importantly, follow me on my social medias, Twitter and Twitch, in the description below. And yes, that is the AC in the back because it's hot. But this video needs to be recorded. So, a YouTuber, a fellow YouTuber, Mandy Lee Plays, you may or may not know of her. I will put the video I'm referring to in the description below. Put out a video about a rant about the newly announced Nintendo Switch Lite. Now, there was a debate she had with Shadow Fox on Player Essence's channel, which I don't know if it's on his channel. I know it was on his Twitch, but I don't know if he ever uploaded the video to YouTube, about the same topic and how she was against it. So no surprise when the announcement comes out that there is indeed a Nintendo Switch Lite, she's not happy with it. And if you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. But there's some things in this video that are factually wrong and factually flawed. And I'm going to say this up front. I think the main problem with this video is that it's based off of the premise that everyone who owns a Switch likes to play the Switch in every format all the time. There's a perception in her video, which we'll get into as we go through it, that I think she doesn't understand that some people do play their Switch primarily in handheld mode, and there are people who play their Switch primarily in docked mode. So the whole premise of a Switch Lite is for those who want to play, those who essentially play their Switch only in handheld mode, but don't care about any of the Switch console features it has. And because I don't think that clicks, she put out a video like this, which is also the reason why the video has a bunch of dislikes on it, because she's saying factually incorrect information. But let's get into it and retort accordingly.
So let's get into it. I am going to share with you why I think the Nintendo Switch Lite Diet Pepsi Cola is the dumbest idea Nintendo has thought of as of late. It's like right next to Nintendo Online. That's how dumb we're gonna get.
What? You're telling me a feature-less version of their console is the dumbest idea they've had since Nintendo Online? Which is weird because she said she wasn't against the idea of having a light or mini console, but now all of a sudden it's a stupid idea. It's one of the dumbest ideas next to online, which the online is only dumb because Nintendo can do better and has done better. Whereas at least with the Lite, there's a precedence for this, which gets into the further on the video. So
I said I did not like the whole concept of a Nintendo Mini right now. And now they announced the Nintendo Lite and I'm just like, wow. It's way better than I expected, don't get me wrong, but it's still bad.
Now she says it's way better than she expected. There's a reason why she says this. It's because there's a preconceived notion, which she then confirms towards the end of the video. But the notion is simple. She, for some reason, thought that the Lite or mini version of the Switch was going to be less powerful. And I think her head is still in that mindset because towards the end of the video, well, we'll get to it.
The number one reason and a big reason, and that is the Nintendo Switch Lite cannot be docked.
Now, for some reason, this has been like a running issue between a bunch of people, but I don't understand why, because it's pretty obvious why the Switch Lite can't dock. It's because it's smaller than the original Switch. So for those who don't understand how basic, circle into circular hole, or square peg into square hole doesn't understand this concept. If the console is smaller, it means then you have to do one or two things. You now have to make a custom dock for a handheld focused version of the Switch, because it won't fit because it's smaller. This blows me away. It's a handheld focus version of the Switch, and for some reason, everyone's like, it needs to have docking capabilities. It's handheld focus. Why would you buy a Lite version of a console that is handheld focus to dock it? It defeats the purpose. And like, it's smaller. That's why it doesn't dock. It can't fit. The only way it would fit is that Nintendo would then have to make another dock that is specifically for the Nintendo Switch Lite. And then in which case you go, what's the point of making it handheld focus if you can still dock it? I'm not against docking. I'm just saying that's pretty obvious why. What's the point? What's the point?
That's like a key feature of the Switch. You play it on your TV, you can play it in handheld, but now it's just on handheld. And that kind of goes against the whole Switch thing, because the Switch was marketed to be a console where you could customize the way you play. You could, undock it and take it with you. The Switch is portable, people. Or you could leave it in the dock and play it on your TV. Or you could just, put it on tabletop. The concept of the Switch. The concept of the Switch is playing how you want, and now you can only play it handheld. Can't take out no Joy-Cons. Can't do anything like that. It just defeats the whole purpose of the Switch, which was already aimed to be a casual lifestyle console.
Also, she keeps throwing out this is the argument she'll repeat throughout the video. She keeps bringing up this whole argument of, this is what the Switch is, the ability to play on your TV or play in handheld mode or play as a tabletop, right? But you don't understand what the overlining theme is. The overlining theme of the Switch is choice, right? You get to choose how you want to play. Just like you can choose to play with a Pro controller, you can choose to play with Joy-Cons, you can choose to play with the Joy-Cons and the grip. It's all about choice. So in my thought process, the way I look at the Lite is, it's another choice. If I don't give a damn about the HD rumble, or I don't care about the IR camera that is not used in the majority, probably 99.99% of games, why would I want to pay for that? I don't want to pay for an IR camera I don't give a fuck about. I don't want to pay for a controller that is one of the weak points of the console. If I want it just as a handheld, here's my option as a handheld. But for some reason, this shit never clicks. It's another option, which is what the Switch's core concept is about. Options. Play the way you want to, and have a format for when you don't want to, if you don't want to pay for the other crap.
And that's the next point. The Switch is portable. Yeah, it's a shocker, I know, but you could take it out of the dock, put it in a case, put it in your bag, and take it with you. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, I have to take the dock, I have to take all this and all that. No, you don't. You just need to take the Switch and take its charger, and you should be fine. That's pretty much what you're going to take with the Switch Mini. But the point is that the Switch is already portable, people.
I don't know. The portable argument's kind of a weird argument to me, because it's not one that I really think. I mean, the only real thing I got to say as far as the portable argument is that, yeah, the Switch is already portable, but the Switch Lite is more portable because it's smaller, which means it can fit in more things. I mean, realistically, most people have said it. In a normal pocket, a normal Switch with the Joy-Cons attached does not fit that well, or barely fits. And it's not comfortable, right? Just because something is portable doesn't mean there's not something better. That's literally all this is. I'm not really denying that the Switch is portable. I'm just saying the Switch Lite is more portable because there are less things you're traveling with. Remember, it doesn't dock, so you wouldn't even need to care about that because you're only playing this thing as a handheld. AKA, I only need the Switch Lite. That's all I need. That's all I need. I don't have to worry about losing the Joy-Cons because I have no Joy-Cons. So I'm not denying that the Switch isn't portable. I'm just saying the Switch Lite is just more portable.
And a lot of people are like, oh, it's a replacement for the 3DS. At least with the 3DS, it had its own identity. It had its own library of games, dual screens. I don't understand the logic with it. I really don't.
We're gonna get to it. I'm not gonna address it. We're gonna get to it, kids.
Especially my next point, which is the whole good for children kind of thing. So the Switch Lite is priced at $199, $200 here in the US, and that's a cool price. I feel it. But people are always saying like, oh, that's good for kids and stuff. You do know that the Switch Mini or Switch Lite could still be scratched. The buttons still could be mashed. So at least with the Switch, you had kind of the option just to buy new Joy-Cons. If the kid messes up the Switch Mini, it's gone. You're gonna have to buy a new console.
See, now what I call this is a manipulation tactic. Essentially, by withholding the full argument, you can make your argument sound better. That's literally what she just did. So she mentions that with the Switch Lite, if you lose the Switch Lite, the whole thing's gone. But if you lose like a Joy-Con or something, then you just have to buy another Joy-Con. But she also mentions screen scratching. Well, here's the thing. Because, like I said, if we're talking about fairness, if you scratch your screen on one or scratch your screen on the other, you know what the difference is? $100 fucking dollars. Because if I scratch my screen on the... Also, I have less chance of scratching my screen, remember? Because I'm not docking the stupid fucking thing. The thing that scratched Switch screens the most was the goddamn dock. So guess what? I'm not docking the Switch Lite. I have less chances to scratch my screen. And boom, if I have to replace a Nintendo Switch Lite versus replacing a Nintendo Switch, it costs more to replace the Switch. But see, what she did there is she intentionally didn't mention the part of the argument that makes her shit sound stupid. Yeah, okay, fine. If you lose a controller, then you only got to pay $80. But see, the thing is, you'll never lose the controller on the Switch Lite because it's always attached to the console. This is the shit that drives me nuts. That's not a good argument because realistically, the Switch Lite is a better sell. That's almost like saying the 2DS was a bad decision. But not yet.
That's like the whole gist of it. People are like, oh my god, it's for kids. Like, OMG. You know, if they break it, you're gonna have to buy a new one. At least with the Switch, if they break the Joy-Cons, you could just replace them. And yeah, I know Joy-Cons aren't cheap, but so isn't buying a whole new console again either. And the next thing is, okay, that child cannot play with his friends. They can't play on one single thing. Does nobody think about that? If they want to play with their friends or siblings, they can't put it on TV and then, have the Joy-Cons passed up or the controllers. No. It's just there.
This is a weird fucking complaint because it almost makes it sound like she didn't read any information, like the press release or the fucking like I said, the whole thing with the docking, it's almost like they had a diagram, a picture showing that the Switch Lite was smaller. It almost seemed like she didn't read it. This just reinforces the statement. Well, you can't play with... multiple kids can't play on the same Switch. Well, it's not designed for that anymore. Remember, that's why they took out the kickstand. It's not focused for that. Also, that's a factual lie anyway, because you can sync up multiple Joy-Cons to a Switch. This thing, they even said it in the damn trailer that talks specifically about games like 1-2 Switch, that you can sync controllers to it. So why wouldn't you be able to play multiplayer games on the same console? I don't even know how to describe that. It's not, to be fair, like I said, the Lite isn't made to do that really. That's not the focus. But there's nothing stopping you from trying if you still wanted to. You just have to get another controller. Apparently that shit completely missed the mark. And like I said, Koizumi mentions it in the video. So it's like almost like she didn't watch the video, yo. What the fuck?
And another thing I wanted to address was the Joy-Cons. That the main reason why the Switch is so expensive is the Joy-Con. That could have easily been averted if they just made a dumbed down version of the Joy-Cons. Hear me out, people. If they made a basic Joy-Con that doesn't have all the HD rumble stuff, but then still had the standard Joy-Cons that had all that stuff, but now everybody could enjoy it. Everybody could buy cheaper Joy-Cons. So I don't get the whole thing of the Joy-Con being this big deal where they had to attach it. That's the dumbest idea, Nintendo. All you could have done was dumb down the Joy-Cons and sold them as two different versions of the Joy-Cons. You didn't have to make a whole console for that.
This is probably one of her worst arguments. So her argument is that, oh, well, if you made a cheaper version of the Joy-Con, this wouldn't be a problem. Why make a Switch Lite when you could just make cheaper, dumbed down Joy-Cons that don't have the HD rumble or the IR camera, right? Here's the kicker with that argument. I'm gonna show it to you. It's simple. But even if you took out the IR camera, right, and you took out the HD rumble, the reason why these things are a pain in the ass and the problem that is the core of it, because even though the HD rumble and the fucking IR camera is part of the issue, you know what the big part of the fucking issue is? These things disconnect. That's the problem. Because guess what that makes this? A fucking failsafe. Because after a while, as a lot of people mentioned, this shit doesn't even need to be pressed on the back to dislodge this thing. So eventually this bitch is just sliding off and on in this thing. And you know what you would have to change? The railing on this inside of the Switch and the shit on the side. Because you would have to remanufacture it to make it more sturdy. And guess what that requires you to do when they come out with an improved Switch with a better railing and fucking docking mechanism? Another fucking console. And guess what the Switch Lite doesn't have to do? Because the bitch is connected, these things aren't a fail-safe. Like I said, the crux of her argument is based around the misconception that there are a bunch of people who only play this thing in handheld. And who the fuck wants to play anything in handheld that has this flimsiness to it? You will never beat something being just naturally built in versus being detachable. Because over time, this shit wears on and off over the course of years. So wouldn't it make more sense for those who only like playing in handheld mode to get a version of this where they ain't got to worry about this bullshit at all? They ain't got to worry about this thing sliding on and off because it's a part of the fucking console. This is the dumbest argument. You keep talking about, oh, it defeats the concept of the Switch. The Switch is about choice. Choose how you want to play. So if I only play in handheld, I now have a choice for myself that gets rid of all the bullshit I never cared about. Because remember, if I don't want to deal with the bullshit of a Joy-Con, I ain't gotta. I can buy a Lite for $100 less and play it like I've been playing it. Like a fucking Game Boy Advance, like a goddamn DS, a PSP, a Vita, 3DS, 2DS, whatever the fuck. The point is, I'm playing it like a normal handheld. And for some reason, this concept, it's right here, Mandy. It's literally like right here. It's right in front of your face. And you won't see it. You keep doing this. I don't understand. Oh, wait. I don't understand why people I don't understand what the point of the Switch Lite is. This is a dumb idea. The people are right here. That is one of the worst things. Not even the absolute worst thing. Side note, I do agree that you should make dumbed down Joy-Cons in general anyway, Nintendo. I'm just saying, I don't agree with that being like a justifiable reason not to make a Lite.
Honestly, I would save the money so you could get a Switch to experience the whole, concept of the Switch, where you could get up, take off your Switch, play it handheld. Oh, a friend came over? You want to play Mario Kart? Okay. Put the Switch in the dock, boom, it's on the TV. Wow, cool.
See, this is being condescending like she doesn't understand. Because she acts like that scenario still can't happen. If you and your friend both own Switch Lites, guess what? You can play your friend from online from across the goddamn world. Or he could come over and you guys can play together and have your own fucking screens. You don't have to dock it because maybe their dad is watching the game. This is the stupid part of this argument. When the Switch is about choice, you can't sit there and act like that this one scenario is the way it should be bought. Because that's not how people are playing the console. There are people who never take this thing out of the dock, and there are people who only play this thing out of the dock. So why is it that those, because as a handheld owner, the Switch struggles in a bunch of areas that they shouldn't. But it does because of its hybrid nature. It's called being a jack of all trades, but master of none. That's what the Switch is. So why not make a handheld dedicated version for the gamer who doesn't give a fuck about docking this thing on the TV, because it's not going to run that much better anyway. And a lot of developers are focusing on handheld mode more than dock mode anyway.
The Switch was supposed to be this thing where it had that sweet spot of being a portable console. The Switch Lite kind of throws that under a truck, backs it up, pulls over, does a U-turn and a 3-point turn at the same time, and crushes it, because the whole point of the Switch concept was to have a more customized way of play.
For those who have stuck in this long, get ready for a treat.
But that does beg another question about the games. That makes the whole thing of developing games for a Switch more annoying. So, okay, not only do devs have to keep in mind the cartridge, they have to keep in mind handheld mode, they have to keep in mind TV mode, they have to keep in mind only handheld mode. Like, this is why we have $60 ports of old games.
What? 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 How fucking dare you? If your credibility wasn't gone yet, this motherfucker burned it. This makes it harder for developers, because not only do they have to develop for TV mode, not only do they have to develop for the cartridge, not only do they have to develop for handheld mode, not only do they have to develop for other handheld mode. What do you think Lite's handheld mode is? Do you think it's different from the other handheld mode? This is the problem when you argue that certain things for the Switch shouldn't exist. It's versatile. So guess the fuck what? You're already previewing what the Switch Lite experience will be. Because guess the fuck what? It'll be exactly like the handheld mode is on the main Switch. You know, see, and what kills me is that, do you think games are going to come with a second fucking logo for handheld? No. Why do you think Koizumi said if the game supports handheld mode now, then the Lite supports it? There's only, the only game I can think of off the top of my head that doesn't support handheld mode is Super Mario Party. That's the only game off the top of my head. The majority of games support handheld mode. So guess the fuck what? The developers are already developing for the mode, and like I said before, that is the focus. That is the fucking focus for some of these developers, is to make sure handheld plays right. So guess the fuck what? It's not extra anything. And the reason why I'm hammering on this is because it's at the end of the video and some people didn't catch it. This is one of the dumbest things you could say. I can't even imagine anything else more ridiculous in this video. I really can't. They're going to have to develop for a second handheld mode. Get the fuck out of here.
This thing is sharing the same library as the regular Switch. So this is why I think the Nintendo Switch Lite is the dumbest thing Nintendo has done, right next to the online, because it doesn't innovate, it regresses. I mean, at least with the 3DS and 2DS, you could kind of justify having both because they have different library of games and they provide a different experience.
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, at least with the 3DS and 2DS, you could kind of justify having both because they have different library of games and they provide a different experience.
I'm sorry, one more time.
I mean, at least with the 3DS and 2DS, you could kind of justify having both because they have different library of games and they provide a different experience.
What? Nintendo fan and you didn't even fucking know that the 3DS and 2DS have the same goddamn library? What? They have the same library. The only game that neither the normal 3DS or 2DS can play is Xenoblade Chronicles for the fucking the new 3DS port. Which, by the way, since there's a new 2DS console, that version can play the game. So if you own a new 2DS, you can play every game on the 3DS. What different experience are you getting? What? And this is the shit that, this is probably part of the reason you have a bunch of fucking dislikes on your video. How dare you? Get the fuck out of here, yo. The 3DS and 2DS, I'm done. I'm fucking done. Lives game played away. The 3DS and the 2DS have the same, have different libraries. What? Get the fuck out of here. But remember, at the end of the day, she doesn't care if you are interested in buying a Lite. But remember also, the 3DS and 2DS have different libraries. Get the fuck out of here. I'm out. I'm done. I'm done with it all. Fuck it. Are you fucking kidding me? Fucking moron.